Greetings, travelers and adventurers. I am your humble tavern keeper, here to welcome you to the Wicked Scoundrel. Located in a caravan district of exotic brothels and armed tax collectors. Parked between a stinking oxen pen and an abandoned potter's workshop. You have arrived at the last inn in the multiverse, the tavern at the end of time. Pull up a seat, grab a drink, and enjoy a tale of adventure. Tonight's story will begin shortly, but we have some business to attend to. In honor of our protagonist, and my favorite fungus farmer, our drink special this evening will be Tainted Bliss. It's a kombucha-based gin drink, and you can find the recipe on our Patreon, the link for which is in the description. Please enjoy them responsibly. Now, this story may contain descriptions of adult themes including nudity, violence, coarse language, pig demons, and fire, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. The story itself has been pre-recorded and edited for time. As such, there may be minor discrepancies between the written versions and the recorded ones. If you want to read along with the story, you can do so at thewickedscoundrel.com or over on Patreon. Again, the links are in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch, you may notice subtle changes throughout the video. These are temporal anomalies that appear to be a direct result of Bella Donna's impact in Barasea. Here at the Wicked Scoundrel, we do not, or rather we are not, on any traditional forms of social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hey Kevin, is this right? Who fucking names these things? Never mind. Here at the Wicked Scoundrel, we are not on traditional social media like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. So, if you enjoy this content, please like and follow, subscribe, and share on your preferred platforms. And finally, 2 weeks ago, a young farm girl left her home in the southern moors to set out on her own. Adventurers, the Wicked Scoundrel is pleased to present our second episode from the Essence of Bella Donna. This is the Old Oak Funeral. Bella stood alone before the Andorth forest. Black dreadlocks cascaded down her right shoulder like vines. Bright, sapphire eyes shimmered above rosy cheeks and opalescent freckles, kissed across a complexion of rich earthen tones like dew-kissed peat. Ashen finger paint in 3 lines, starting at the bottom lip, descended her throat, about which hung beaded necklaces, one for each of her 19 years. The first was high and tight about her throat, and each got slightly larger, until the bottommost hung loosely about her collar and bust line, with the combined effect of holding her head high and poised. From beneath them, ashen paint spread across her shoulders and bare breasts, like a cloak of winding tree roots. Her nipples were pierced with small bones, like those of a bird, and a woven sarong of hemp and moss was tied about her hips, and as she shifted her weight, a long bare leg decorated with ashen lines down the thigh and shin was revealed. The overcast skies rolled ominously overhead as she stood at the edge of the darkening forest, scrunching her toes in the mossy ground with trepidation. She already missed the warm waters of Harmony Polder that now lay 15 days behind her. Though she longed to return home to her mother and her little farm, the warm breeze at her back urged her forward. She tested the shaded ground beneath the trees with her staff, took a long breath of determination, and stepped from the grassy clearing. The air beneath the forest canopy was warm and thick with petrichor, and the ground was moist and soft like the polder, and in less than a mile she felt at peace among the rustling leaves. She traveled for close to 10 miles, listening to the song of the forest and humming along as the occasional raindrops fell through the forest canopy. Even here, Bella Donna felt the warmth of the sun Tethys nearly at her zenith. She rested her weight against an old vine-covered tree to avoid slipping on wet rocks, and felt the tree move slightly and creak with age. Oh dear. She stopped, clutching the trunk, and closed her eyes. She took a long, deep breath, feeling the tree sigh back. Oh, you poor thing. Let me help. She gently clasped a small cluster of leaves from the vines clinging about the old oak. It's time to let him go, she said calmly and quietly. The leaves wilted ever so slightly, in a way few would have noticed. I know, but it's time. Bella stepped away from the old oak as the vines released their hold on him and fell softly away. A gentle breeze blew through the forest like a calming breath, and there was a moment of unearthly quiet before the old oak creaked. With a soft cracking, he leaned back and fell through the canopy. The younger, greener trees about the old oak, his friends and family, slowed his descent with strong boughs and laid him gently in the underbrush. Once he had settled and was comfortable, Bella approached him and rested a hand on his trunk. Released from the forest root system, she could feel the last of his nutrients quickly being consumed. Between her toes, the vines on the ground tickled her feet. Oh, of course. I will join you, she said, and sat on the ground, leaning back against the old oak. The vines crept across her shoulders, holding the old oak close in a final embrace. Thunder bawled in the distance as the surrounding trees and underbrush hung heavy with mourning, their leaves dripping down upon Bella in sadness. They sat together in quiet reflection as the birds sang to the memory of his greatness, the wind and leaves occasionally adding harmonies of their own. Bella enjoyed a lunch of fresh berries, nuts, and mushrooms she'd been foraging along the way, before finally saying a final goodbye and continuing on her journey. Bella Donna jumped from the 4-foot rocky outcropping. Her soft landing stirred up a cloud of ash and dust. The swiftly setting sun of Tethys urged her forward, sprinting through the char and soot towards the stout stone chapel at the center of the clearing. Behind her, she could hear the creatures crashing through the tree line after her. As she ran, Bella allowed the end of her staff to drag. "Entangle," she said almost to herself, and behind her, emerging from the point where her staff touched the dirt and soot, grasping weed and vines sprouted from the blackened ground and spread out 20 feet, nipping at her heels. She leaned into her sprint and made for a tree that was scorched but standing. A sound followed her, like boars or bears or somehow both. She reached the tree and used it for cover. Looking back, she saw 2 huge pig-like demons struggling to get through her lush trap. To the west, Tethys set, laying her head beneath the horizon. All about Bella, the forest beyond the burned-out clearing came alive with the roars of great beasts. Bella bolted for the church. The pig demons reached the scorched tree as Bella ascended the steps to the small church, to find it locked. "Please no," she whispered, shaking the door handle. She could feel the board at its back. "No." The door with her fists, looking back. As the beast continued to approach, she looked for some other sanctuary, but the landscape was scorched and barren. Fuck. She stepped down into the ash and soot and prepared to stand off against the monsters. With her staff in hand, she raised it across her body and beat her chest. A green glow spread through the body paint from that spot, giving it a 3-dimensional effect, like a wooden mantle. The beasts continued to advance. "Well, this is gonna... fuck," she muttered to herself, looking about for resources or anything she might use against these creatures. but there was nothing but a twilight wasteland of coal and ash. Of course, she whispered. She closed her eyes, raised her staff high in the air, and slammed it into the charred dirt. No trace, she whispered, and a cloud of ash swirled about her. The beasts quickly lost sight of her in the growing darkness, and as she'd hoped, they separated in an effort to restrict her movement. Suddenly, flame-like radiance shot from the sky and exploded into the dirt, narrowly missing the closer beast, separating it further from its partner. Seeing this, Bella made a motion like snapping her fingers, and a branch cracked a short distance for the other beast. With its attention drawn toward the back of the building, Bella backed towards the steps again. Another bolt of golden light shot from the clouds, this time slamming into the beast and burning its hide. Bella used the distraction, drawing her sickle as she rushed forward, and carved a gash into the creature's shoulder. It let out a wail and a fart as a cloud of disgusting green gas surrounded the foul creature. It clawed back, returning the favor. The other pig beast continued east, along the building, away from the battle. Either it did not hear the cries of its siblings, or it did not care. Another blast of golden light slammed through the gas cloud into the beast. Coughing, Bella swung with her sickle and caught the thing in the throat with a tiny cut that bled quickly. The beast collapsed, trying to retaliate. Bella looked to the other pig demon in time to see another bolt of golden light streak from the sky. It struck the ground right at the creature's snout, startling it back towards her. Bella whistled to get its attention and threw her arms out in challenge as she moved towards the monster, the ashen cloud fading behind her. She used the corner of the church to prevent the thing from flanking her. "Entangle," she commanded again, screwing her staff into the ground. Again, grasping weeds and vines sprouted from the blackened ground and spread out 20 feet in front of her. "Come here, you gross thing." The beast snorted and rushed directly into the organic trap. It tripped immediately, diving nose first into the charred dirt. The vines and weeds grew quickly around and up its snout, restraining it there. It honked and sniffed in panic as the weeds that grew into the beast's mouth intertwined with the vines crawling through its sinuses. Another bolt of light shot from the sky and slammed the beast's head further into the dirt, startling Bella. She gave a quick search of the sky, and then moved up next to the creature. It flailed, trying to free itself, or perhaps bite her. She wasn't sure. Shh. She pet the creature soothingly as she curled her sickle about its throat. She remained with the creature as it bled out, soothing its passing. In the forest beyond the burn, she could hear other creatures moving through the brush in the dark. She stood when she heard clamoring at the door of the church and turned to see a man poke his head out. "Come on, girl." He looked about nervously as he summoned Bella inside. "They're not alone." Once inside, with the door locked and barricaded again, the elven man turned and addressed her. "Are you daft, girl? What are you doing out in the Anderth after dusk? You could have been killed." He had a common appearance with red hair and sharp hazel eyes. Over his clerical robes, he wore splint mail. She started, but was quickly interrupted. Yes, later." The man looked at the wound on her arm. "Let's get these injuries looked after. Then you need to rest before they come back." "Come back?" Bella questioned as she was led, in a fatherly manner, to the heart of the church. "Oh yeah, dear," the man said with grave seriousness. "This night is far from over." I hope you enjoyed our second episode and our first tale of adventure from the Essence of Bella Donna. Once again, that story was pre-recorded and edited for time. We'll be back again in the next few weeks with our next episode, where we'll meet a gladiator from the City of Omens. Until then, you can check out thewickedscoundrel.com for more stories and maybe some Bella-related merchandise. To support the channel, like and share the broadcast, or follow or subscribe to the channel, or support the Wicked Scoundrel on Patreon. Once again, all the links are in the description. Thank you, one last time for joining us at the tavern this evening, and we look forward to seeing you again.